We're going to ask everyone to please find a seat. Thank you. We come together to mourn and to remember, to support and to love. And there's a lot of love in this room. At such moments, we turn to God as well for support. We turn to God with prayer. And I'm going to ask you to open your prayer books to page 102. And together we'll recite the Mincha service. Ashrei yoshvei veitecha od yalelucha selah. Ashrei amshekach lo Hashem shalom ahavti lahu. Tilat Adonai bepi vivarecha basar shen kotrol elam voed v'nachnu nevarech yamet havier olam. Hallelujah. 105. Ikadav ikadashimi rabba biyama divra kirute v'yamlich machute b'chayechonu v'yimechonu v'chayrecho beit Yisrael bagalav izman kariv yimaru amen. Yehishme rabba mivarak le'alam elam e'amaya yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpar v'yitroman v'yitnase v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalash medikurisha b'richu Ela min kol birchata v'shirata tivchata v'nechemata damiram v'yoma v'imru. Amen. We rise, joining together in the initial brachot of the Amidah, page 107, and then each of us will have the opportunity to conclude individually. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Eloi avotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Agadol Agibor v'Yanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol v'Zocher Chasdei Avod u'Mevi Goel Livnei v'Nehem L'man Shemo B'Yava Melech Ozer Moshiach u'Magin Baruch Atah Adonai Magin Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayeh Metim Atah Rav L'Hoshia Mashiv HaRuach u'Morid HaGashem Mechalkel Chayim B'Chesed Mechayeh Metim B'Rachamim Rabim Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim u'Matir Asurim ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה המתים. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, כך כתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאו, מלוך על הארץ כבודו, לאומתם ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו, דברי קודשך כתוב לאמור, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה, לדור ודור נגיד עוד לך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד, כי אל מלכתו וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. page 122. יתקרא ויקרא שמי רבה, מיום דברה קירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון ובימיכון ובחי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה וזמן קריב יאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, ויעלם עולם יומיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו ויעלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן ביעלמה ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלום הרבה מן שמיים וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו. 124. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככהם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. Mourner's Kaddish, page 128. יתגדל ויקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו amen. You may be seated. I invite you to turn to page 134. We'll read responsibly in the English. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. God leads me besides the still waters. Though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my adversaries. Surely goodness and kindness shall follow me all the days of my life. Once more, Mourner's Kaddish, 128. Yes, Mourner's Kaddish, we're going to ask you guys to rise. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei rabah. Yalma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'gala u'v'yizman kari v'yimru amen. Yehi shmei rabah mevorach le'alam lamei amaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei l'kudisha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran b'yalma v'yimru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. You may be seated. When we lose someone we truly love, we're left with loss. We're also left with incredible memories. And Joyce, in my conversations with you over the last week, I've gotten a sense of Ellen and the incredible woman that she was and the incredible things that she did in this life. We have a number of people who are going to share some stories and share with us the beauty of her life. And I'd like to invite Alyssa to come forward to do so.
I'm first going to start with sharing a message on behalf of Scott, Alana, Sam, Hannah, Noah, Andrew, and Laura. We recently buried our wife, mother, and daughter after a 10-year battle with melanoma. We are still processing our loss, but each day is made easier with the outpouring of love and support from our community, including many of our friends here in Houston. We wish that we could be here today to greet all of you, but for now, we will have to settle for a virtual hug. We are deeply grateful for all the cards, messages, and kind words that have been shared with us. Your love and support means so much during this time, and knowing that we are in your thoughts brings us great comfort. Ellen made it her life's work to support her community both professionally and personally. During her time in Houston, she learned to become a Social Security lawyer, helping many in her community, which led to the work helping Holocaust survivors. Also, she started her community engagement, planning fundraisers here at Brith Shalom, as well as co-chairing the Children's Performance Arts Series at the JCC. Joyce was Ellen's role model in her community engagement. We are comforted to know that the Houston community is also helping both Steve and Joyce at this difficult time. We hope that we'll have the opportunity to see all of you soon and exchange the virtual hug for a real one. I would now like to share some of my memories of Ellen and how she personally touched my life. I was fortunate to visit Ellen many times in New Jersey, usually around a treatment appointment, but not always, sometimes just to be with her and Scott. During these visits, we would run errands, cook together, walk the dogs, talk. And as you know, time spent with a loved one, no matter what the activity, is time well spent. One of my favorite memories is wandering through Whole Foods while we planned our meals for the week. We often went in with a list, but came out with something totally different. Cooking was a passion for both of us, and we enjoyed trying different recipes together. She had an uncanny ability to create meals off the top of her head. Once, instead of going to the store, we made an Asian-inspired soup just with the ingredients she had on hand. It was delicious. During one visit, we were driving around enjoying the fall colors. She and Scott introduced me to cider donuts at a local farm stand that they knew about. The donuts and the cider were so good that it kind of became a running joke between us about my obsession with them. I even tried to convince Hannah to have them as her wedding cake. While she said no, she did have a donut truck at least at the end of the evening. I am now working on Alana. We spent many hours in oncologist offices or treatment suites where we talked or played our games together, Wordle, Connections, Strands, and sometimes we talked baseball. Thank you, Sam, for that. But also, we just held hands and we would watch the bag empty, hoping that this one would be the one. Neither one of us had a sister, but sisters we became.
Stephen, please.
In the words of my sister, Shalom, y'all. I'd like to tell you a little bit about her now. Ellen Gilbert Teller was born on September 23rd, 1963 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She was the third child and only daughter of my parents, Bob and Joyce Gilbert. Our family lived in Cherry Hill, New Jersey at the time, which, for those of you who don't know, is a suburb of Philadelphia. My mom's doctor happened to be located in Philadelphia at the time, so that's where we were all born. We lived in Cherry Hill until 1967, when my father accepted a promotion at his job, and our family moved to Houston. My parents purchased a house in Meyerland, and that's where my sister, my brother, and I grew up. And we joined this congregation soon after we moved down to Houston. It was after moving to Houston, my mom accepted a position at the brand new Jewish Community Center on South Braeswood Boulevard. Her position was assistant director of the nursery school. She would sometimes bring some of the nursery school kids over to our house for play dates with Ellen. And some of these kids were sons of players for the Houston Oilers, including Ernie Ladd Jr. and Garland Boyette Jr. One of my earliest memories of Ellen is that these kids would play with me instead of her because I had a football. She would get a little bit upset over that, as you can imagine. Another memory I have of Ellen was of us riding our bicycles full speed up and down Yarwell Boulevard. And this is in the days before they made kids wear helmets when they rode bicycles. So not only did we try to ride as fast as we could, we tried really hard not to wipe out so that we skinned up our elbows and our knees. Ellen attended and graduated from Coulter Elementary School, Johnston Junior High School, as it was known then, and Bel Air Senior High. During her high school years, Ellen was an active member of the Malev BBG chapter of the B'nai Brith Youth Organization. And while she was a student at Bel Air, she met the love of her life, Scott Teller. After graduating from Bel Air, Ellen went to college at the University of Texas at Austin, where she was an active member of the Alpha Epsilon Phi sorority. She received her bachelor's degree in government with a minor in sociology from UT in 1986. Scott and Ellen were married in June of 1987. After getting married, they lived in San Antonio for a while, which is where Ellen received her Juris Doctor degree from St. Mary's University School of Law in 1989. Shortly thereafter, they moved back to Houston, where they began to grow their family. During this time, Ellen practiced law, specializing in Social Security and disability law. In 1999, Scott accepted a promotion at his work, and the Teller family moved to the East Coast, first living in Maryland before settling in Bridgewater, New Jersey. While raising a family, Ellen worked at the Marks Law Firm in Bernardsville, New Jersey, where she advocated for restitution and reparations on behalf of Holocaust survivors. She served as president of Temple Shalom in Bridgewater, New Jersey, and she also served as president of the Jewish Federation of West Central New Jersey. She had a strong passion for her local Jewish community, as she did for our community when she lived here. Ellen often volunteered her time serving on numerous committees that served the Jewish communities of both Houston and Bridgewater. Ellen was also a very passionate advocate for the Gift of Life Bone Marrow Registry, having been a former stem cell donor. 2 days after she passed away, after I posted my tribute on social media, I received a message from the aunt of the young man who received Ellen's stem cell donation. And I'd like to read that message to you now. Good evening, Mr. Steve. You don't know me, and I've only met Ms. Ellen through Facebook, but I felt the need to reach out after seeing your post. I don't know if you're aware, but one time in the early 2000s, Ms. Ellen donated blood marrow to a little boy from Louisiana. He was 7 years old. His name is Hayden, and he is my nephew. Because of your sister's life-saving and selfless actions, my nephew is now a 26-year-old man. He works for FedEx, he loves his job, and he loves his dog, Rue. I am so sorry to hear of her passing, but I felt you should know what an impact she had on us. Praying for you all. My sister Ellen fought cancer for 10 years. She went through many treatments, some of them experimental, at Memorial Sloan Kettering Hospital in New York. She was a very strong woman. She was tough as nails, just like her mom, and just like my wife, Sherrie. And I'll tell you how tough she was. After Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, Ellen, while still undergoing treatment, flew with other volunteers from her community in New Jersey to Poland. Then they took a train all the way to the border with Ukraine, and they delivered much-needed supplies for the Ukrainian refugees. Throughout her fight, Ellen never let her diagnosis keep her from living the life she wanted to live. And there's a lesson in that for all of us. Please keep her in your heart. Remember her humor and her smile and her candor. And remember the good times, because there was a lot of good times with Ellen. She will be greatly missed by all of us.
Gail.
How do you capture 50 years of friendship? How can I appropriately pay tribute to my friend who did more, saw more, and touched more lives in her too short 61 years than most people do in a longer lifetime? I remember Ellen as smart, kind, funny, a leader, and so much more. We all grapple with death, especially with the people we love, and even more with the ones we think were robbed of a full life. As I listened to Ellen and watched her illness, I struggled with how to help her. Selfishly, I wanted to fix this, but I knew I couldn't. I think Ellen would be happy to know that through this experience, she taught me more about being present. I put my phone down. I asked questions. I listen more, and I try to talk less. I'm still working on this one. As I watched Ellen, I really understood that life is fragile, and I could not wait till later or tomorrow to check in, say hi, send a card, or say I love you. I will forever have the gift of a text exchange with Ellen less than 24 hours prior to her passing. I had texted with her exactly 1 week prior, and she told me she was feeling great after her transfusion. Nonetheless, I sent Ellen a message, and less than 24 hours later, I got the devastating news from Scott. Ellen and I met over 50 years ago. As I dug through old photos and reminisced with friends, it's been such an amazing gift to walk down memory lane. I have vivid memories of Big Bad Bob, who always commanded our respect. Joyce, the mom who was dedicated to her synagogue and the JCC from the day we met. And of course, older brothers, Alan and Stephen. Ellen and I were always the tall girls, the studious girls. We towered over the boys in junior high. Yes, I'm dating myself. We shared elementary, junior high, and high school, BBYO, UT, where we were roommates with Mindy, and AE Phi, which we shared with Mindy, Val, Marcy, Janie, Patty, and too many others to name, but these friendships remain today and span the same 40 to 50 years. When I attended Ellen's celebration of life, I was overwhelmed with the love she had fostered in her community, Bridgewater, New Jersey. Again, in 23 years, to see what Ellen built and what she gave, the life she not only touched, but changed. From the Holocaust survivors for whom she got restitution long overdue, to temple president, impact on the school district, and president of the Jewish Federation. And how about that time she called to tell me she and her dear friend Robin were traveling to the Ukraine border early in the war to deliver supplies. And this was scheduled during treatment. Ellen was always one tough cookie. I'm simply in awe of my friend. She did all of this from her heart and soul. She did it because it was important to her, not for recognition. Think about it. She was a stranger to this community, but she showed up in her confident, smart, magnanimous manner, and the rest is history. I want to share with you some of the beauty I witnessed by being in Bridgewater for Ellen's celebration of life. To see the love the clergy has for Ellen and hear their stories was so moving. I loved the rabbi's description of the way Ellen started weekly announcements as temple president. Shalom, y'all. I can hear Ellen's laugh and see her warm smile as she's remembered for this. Ellen was appropriately carried to her resting place by her circle of girlfriends, as her family designated the caring, giving, strong women as the pallbearers. What a beautiful sight to see the women Ellen had befriended, volunteered with, laughed with, and certainly uplifted in her own way. These loving friends carried the casket as she went to her final resting place. Thank you, Joyce, for giving me the honor to share words about your amazing daughter today. To Ellen's family, Scott, Alana, Hannah, Andrew, Noah, Sam, Laura, Alan, Kathy, Steve, Sherrie, Craig, Lori, Alyssa, Mike, Fred, Sue, and of course, Joyce. Having Ellen as my lifelong friend is a gift I will carry in my heart forever. I will keep her memory alive and honor her always. Accordingly, let me close with Shalom, y'all.
Joyce, thank you for asking me to speak today. My words cannot possibly do Ellen justice, but because I would do just about anything for you and Ellen, here I am. Ellen and I became close friends during a season of our lives when we were both raising young children and juggling family with work. We frequently exercised together, running and doing water aerobics at the J, and all the while we talked about raising kids and practicing law. At that time, Ellen and Scott already had Alana, so when Stephen and I had Rachel, I quickly learned to emulate Ellen's parenting. Her parenting instincts, which she came by honestly, like her friendship instincts and her leadership instincts, were impeccable. I observed Ellen instill courage, compassion, and a deep commitment to Jewish values in her children. I could cite many examples, but here's one I'll share. When Alana was about 10, she had a close friend from Hebrew school who suffered from severe anxiety. At one point, Alana's friend locked herself in her bedroom and refused her mother's request that she come out. The girl said some things that were very concerning to the mom, who called Ellen for advice because Alana also struggled with anxiety, though much less severe than her friends. Ellen, rather than talking to the mom and offering whatever advice she could, told 10-year-old Alana what was happening and said they were heading over to help. In the car, Ellen asked Alana what her friend might be feeling, and they discussed strategies Alana could use to help her friend. When they got to the house, Alana, with Ellen by her side, talked to her friend through the bedroom door, sharing her own experiences and strategies for dealing with anxiety. Within 10 minutes, the friend came out of her room. That story, which I shared with Alana's consent, stuck with me because who does that? My instinct would have been to shield my kid from the difficult circumstances and talk on the phone to the mom. Ellen's was to show up at the friend's house and encourage Alana to do something scary and difficult to help a struggling friend. As a parent, I've often asked myself, what would Ellen do? In terms of practicing law, I also learned from the best. Ellen certainly displayed skill and talent. She also exhibited the same courage and compassion that I saw in her parenting. As some of you know and have heard, Ellen's law practice in Houston involved representing claimants seeking Social Security disability benefits after these benefits had been denied. At one point, Ellen referred a few cases to me, so I was able to learn the ropes from her. What a privilege. Generally, the odds are firmly stacked against such clients because they're appealing from a denial. These are tough, complicated cases that require careful attention to physical and mental health records. If the claimant succeeds on appeal, the attorney earns a small flat fee, whether the lawyer spends 10 hours or 200 hours on the case. As you can probably guess, Ellen would spend however long it took to fully understand the client's medical records concerning the person's daily life challenges. But she also spent a significant amount of time talking to her clients, getting to know their stories and backgrounds. She represented a woman with severe mental health challenges whose sister brought her to appointments. By the end of that representation, which Ellen won, Ellen talked to the client and her sister like they were three friends, exchanging stories about parenting and families. She talked to her clients with candor and used her humor. Ellen was very funny, competence, and kindness to earn their trust. Ellen had an unusually high success rate advocating for these clients. No doubt it was because of her talent and skill in learning and understanding the medical records and law, but also because she recognized her clients' humanity. As such, she could make the case much more compelling to the judge by demonstrating not only who the clients were on paper, but who they were as people. In thinking about Ellen, I certainly agree that Mensch, woman of valor, and as Rabbi Isaac said, Queen Esther, who rescued her community, fit her beautifully. But maybe because of Ellen and Scott's fabulous trip to Africa for her birthday and her joy in visiting the animals, when I think of Ellen, I also think majestic lioness. And I struggled with whether to use a diminutive gendered noun as a metaphor, but I stuck with it, and here's why. Lionesses are matriarchal in that lionesses serve as the leaders of their pride, ensuring its survival. They're strategic hunters coordinating with other lionesses in the pride to track and catch prey. They're also incredibly devoted mothers who protect and raise their cubs to socialize and be able to survive in the wild. And they alloparent, meaning they nurse and care for cubs other than their own when a cub's mother is unavailable. Lionesses are highly intelligent, cooperative, altruistic, and kind. They are not only fierce hunters, but are also devoted mothers who are fiercely dedicated to their sisters and other lionesses in their pride. I also read that lionesses demonstrate selflessness by allowing male lions to eat first. Stephen and I shared many wonderful meals with Ellen and Scott, and I never saw Ellen demonstrate that particular instinct. But as for the rest, Ellen was a glorious lioness for her strength, rooted in compassion, and her fierce devotion to family and her pride. In the musical Carousel, an angel says to Billy Bigelow, "As long as there's one person on earth who remembers you, it isn't over." Ellen, your story is far from over. The ripples from your life will be felt for generations by your friends, family, kids, kids' friends, friends' kids, clients, and all the members of your pride whom you so fully and generously devoted yourself to. Ellen and I never ended a conversation without saying love you or love you lots. Ellen, I miss you so much and love you lots.
With Ellen's passing, the world, the Jewish world, the world of her clients, the world of Aiden, and our world, the world of her pride, is a much poorer place today. We conclude this service with the words of tradition, Hamakom yenachem etchem betoch sha'arav elei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May you all be comforted among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem, comforted by incredibly loving memories and the support and love of the community around you. My friends, that concludes our service this morning.